Hello, baby. What's good in the hood? Hmm. Okay, I don't know what's all happening right here. Okay, things are slow, very slow on this end. Michelle's daughter, I see you. Now, we're going to let you know through all these things that have been transpiring here, all the people live, if you get to watch this after the live, as long as you get to see it. That is the beauty of it. So you want to be able to do that. Hmm. Yes, reading your comments are amazing. I'm glad you made it here. I'm glad to see you. It's good to see some people I haven't seen in a long time. Louise Marin, thank you for your Cash App donations and your support. I never forgot you. Danielle Parra, one of my first Patreons. All you guys are here. So, well, it's like this. A lot of different things were transpiring during these COVID-19 and everything else that's going on in the world. The federal offices was supposed to give like 660 billion in taxpayers back small business assistance loans. You remember those, the Paycheck Protection Program? And they had backtracked on a lot of the statements and promises they were supposed to. Well, here's what they're not telling you. And this is why they stop people from even asking questions about it, because genuinely they just wanted to, just ask a question. Like, what's going on here? So they backtracked on their commitment to release the details. Before they say, we're going to list the details to show that there's no blood on our hands. And people are going to say, well, hey, we don't have a lot of blood on our hands. What the hell you mean? We don't need no one knowing where this damn money going. And that's what's been happening. They are sitting there with their SBA, the Small Business Administration. They're running around with the 7A program, all them loan standing, small business loans. All of these things are transpiring, and no one, not one person, knows what's going on, who got the money, how much they got, what's happening here. Why don't we know that? They don't want you to know. There's over $500 billion unaccounted for. 513 to probably be exact. Yep. So I don't know. I'm having a hard time seeing you guys right now. So my screen kind of froze up on me on my end. I don't know how it's working on your end. But I can tell you like this. This has been one valuable lesson. Always look at the direction that they're not telling you to look. They're not talking about it. It was brought up once, then it kind of went away. I see things a little differently. So I try to like look at it a little differently. I'll see what you're trying to say, but on this end, it's a little different. I don't know what it would be the best option at this point. At this point, you try to go with the best thing that you have possible. But if no one's asking these questions, no one is, trying to figure out what it is that's actually transpiring, then it's hard for you to even gauge what's happening. It's hard for you to gauge it. For you to even gauge what's happening. Sean King is taking donation money. It's probably a lot of them doing it. Thanks, E-Rock. Well, I got to, man, because nobody else gonna give it to you. And these guys get paid hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, if not millions. And they telling you lies, giving you nothing. Does Linda McMahon run the Small Business Association? I don't know if she does. I'll have to check into that. But a lot of small businesses did not receive any money because of that. Black Pill Ned. The fox is in the hen house. Uh-oh. That's right. Yeah, I expect my Patreon to run into some trouble today. Later on tonight when I upload some more stuff. It's gonna be a little too hot for YouTube. So I'm gonna have to do it there. Thanks, Joe. Jeff, I saw you reply to that Patreon I just put up. And that was just a one of levity. But you don't understand those 4 selections. I asked you guys, what was in the Patreon? Pick which movie would you watch first out of this 4. You never realized that this is an exercise. Thanks, Chris. I appreciate that, bro. Those was an exercise. You had American Hustle, The Hateful Eight, side effects, and traitor. And I said, which one would you pick first? Now, that was done less than 10, 15 minutes ago. And I can guarantee you I'll pick the one that everybody else was going to pick. And most of them will pick the Hateful Eight. Because a lot of them don't even have never probably seen the other three. And the one you've heard of the least is the better film. But this isn't about that. What it's about is all four are inspired by events that happened in real life. The Hateful Eight is based on true events that has happened. It's a collection and collaboration of true events that happened during a stagecoach, intervention to free people that were headed for a town for a hanging. It's actually the Damaru gang or whatever. They actually showed up and tried to rescue her. The brother and sister tried to rescue his sister from being hung. And all of these things happened. And this was in retaliation to another hanging that the one guy had did before. And the black guy that Samuel L. Jackson played was somebody who actually fought in there. A lot of the things that he talked about, what happened in the war, you have to listen to the dialogue. A lot of it echoed on what happened to the black soldiers who weren't treated properly in the war. They were executed while they took the Southerners took the Confederates who fought on the other side, the Reds and all that. They went and took the white prisoners who was on the other side. And he was like, well, how much of this generosity was shown towards the blacks? We didn't have the food or resources for them. So they were executed. So you have to realize a lot of key things are in film that you need to pay attention to. This was based on historical fact. So when he went there and found out what happened to ignite his escape, he set the whole thing ablaze. And he escaped. Samuel L. Jackson did. And the only thing that he would keep with him was a letter that he had from the president. And because he had that letter from the president, forget about his past and everything else that went wrong and everything else. He was pen pals with the president of the United States of America. The fact that he kept that letter on him everywhere he went, it got him certain amenities of respect just because he had that letter. And I don't want to ruin the film for you, but it goes in a whole different thing. Side effects is an entirely different aspect. One woman is going through court. She's in a mental hospital. She doesn't think she's there. She's being framed for a murder that she said she didn't do. And she's blaming the medicine and the side effects of a certain medicine. And this happened in real life. People are very unaware. It's very smart. It's very sharp. And it's like, okay, is the medicine responsible for the side effects and the side effects of this company? And this thing could bankrupt this company and they could lose billions of dollars if there's a side effect that make people go crazy and start killing people. American Hustle, a very true story that happened in New York City. It was the more popular of the movie, got nominated for Oscars. What's up? Thank you, Wild Dawkins. How old is it? I think Side Effects came out in 2014 or 2012. But you're looking at a hustler. Okay? You're looking at a hustler. Mm-hmm. Well, American Hustle. Oh, Manchurian Candidate. You talking about the Denzel remake or the original? So no, he's talking about the Denzel remake to something else entirely. American Hustle is with Christian Bale. He plays this jewel hustler, and he's married to Jennifer. What's her name? Not Jennifer Hudson, is it? What is it? Jennifer Lawrence. That's it, Jennifer Lawrence. So he's married to her, and he's dating Amanda Adams or Amy Adams, and Bradley Cooper's in it. It's a huge film. Jeremy Renner, so it goes way beyond the stratosphere of a star-studded cast. But the film takes different angles because it shows you what happens in that world with the mob, the cops, what they did back in the 70s, how the law was. And he stood up there, took down the mayor of a town who was trying to bring money and back and bring gambling, opening a casino down in Jersey, and everything goes haywire. Well, Traitor, Don Cheadle plays an agent who was undercover, pretending to be working with terrorists, but at the same time working with the federal government. Now it's like, is this terrorist organization, is he really going rogue? Is he really saying who the real terrorist is in the situation more than the people he's working for? He was good at designing bombs and designing with technology, so that's why they were using him in that situation. But all four are based on true events. So on the Patreon, when I asked those guys over there, that's fun for free too, Patreons. Like, you don't have to pay to be a member to get involved in that one. We always do some free stuff on there, and this is free. It's an exercise of thinking and our thought process and what has been distributed to us and what hasn't. Side Effects, The Hateful Eight, American Hustle, Traitor. 4 movies that are excellent, very excellently done, but you probably only heard of 2, and one of the best ones you probably never saw, and that was Side Effects. Why? Because of your demographic. And if you are Caucasian, you probably have never seen Traitor. And if you're Black, you probably have never seen Side Effects. Or have even heard of it. But if I say The Hateful Eight or American Hustle, you don't say, I've heard of that. Or even saw it. That's marketing. You have been programmed to want to see things that when people look like you, you say, oh, they got this brother in there. I'm going to see that. So you are programmed to say, there's the brother. I want to go see him. So that's how they market it to you. They're not going to send things to you that they don't think is beneficial to your demographic. When they're talking about pharmaceutical companies and lawsuit and money taking place, they feel like this is not what African Americans want to see. But we have a demographic for that. So we're going to steer our people towards that. Plus, the only thing Black in that film is the tires on the car. But did we really get Traitor marketed to us? No. That was more of an international film. Those are the films you need to watch. There's a lot of hidden information in movies that they don't want you to watch. Because, see, they're not talking to you. They're talking to the people like them. So when you're watching those movies, They're talking to their own. And what are they telling them? And I'll sit there and I'll watch it and I go, that's very interesting. See, now I know it's the same thing they do with movies that we do that are very political. You might see one or maybe three or four white people in there by themselves. And you might be like, what they doing in here? And they'll be sitting there, they're watching. Because they want to know what's being said. And if it's something of interest, they're going to run back and report it to somebody else. Well, Trader comes on now because they're going to make sure it comes on to your demographic. It's going to be something that you watch at a certain time. Have you noticed that all the really good movies that we watch, like African American, we don't get the treatment everybody else gets. We get movies that come on at like 4 o'clock in the morning. You ain't seen that? 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. Here come all the good black movies. You'd be like, man, this would have been great if it was on at 7 at night. Why are they doing that? It's been going on since the beginning of time, since they've done cable. They've always put the good stuff on late at night. You know why? Because they want to say, well, African American movies just don't do that. They don't perform that well. We haven't been given the platform. You give the prime hours when people are awake. You give those hours to all your shows that are fluff and puff, and most of those are garbage, but you give those to the other folks. But we come on at midnight, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 in the morning. You be like, man, you come in 3 in the morning. I be like, oh man, look what's on. Oh, look what's on this channel. Oh man, it's lit up with some classics. Because they're trying to fit, because they're thinking in their mind, we got to cover our quota. We really don't want to deal with it. Well, just to keep people off our back, we could say we did play it this many times a month. And then they figured and had a genius of an idea and said, we don't need it. So they had another company come along and said, we'll take it. And that company was called Encore. Encore took all the movies that HBO and Showtime didn't want a part of and said, give them to us. We'll take those black movies. So Encore said, you don't want to have a home for us, for black people. Y'all are stupid to give up on that market. Those movies made tons of money and people still love them. We know what to do with it. Give it to us. Fine. They took it. And do you know, Encore became a major player in the game to be a small company? They became a real heavyweight in the cable game. Black Films built Encore, which is a subsidiary. Hold on. Okay, there we go. Back. Encore did that. And built itself up. Through African American, Latino films. More than any Caucasian film. They weren't going to pay top rate for that. They said, we'll dig in what you think is the trash. We're going to take that and we're going to make our own. Stars and Encore are linked. Stars didn't want anything to do with the African American market. They didn't. But they were a low rent cable company. And because they were a low rent cable company, this is what happens in a low rent cable company. Epix is another one that's on the come up, but that market has already been submerged. You know, they tried to do the black cinema, bring back the soul cinema movies, but Stars came into play, built off the monumental success of Encore. So now that they teamed up and partnered up, they decided, you know, let's team up and partner up and let's move on from there. So this is where the market came from. And now Encore became the place that people wanted to go to. They was like, man, Encore got all the movies. So people start ordering Encore who were black. They were like, this is where we want to be. Now, Stars who just came into play decided this is where they wanted to be. And now they saw that and said, you know what? Now we need to be the main figure for African American movies. We gonna be the ones to look out for the small brother man and the Hispanics. What's up, Dapper Van? Yeah, appreciate that. So what they do, like if you go now, they got Black and Blue with Tyrese and the Black Cop. They got Columbiana. They got The Equalizer 2. They got Think Like a Man. You see, these are the type of films they want to put out. By having that, they paid for the big films, and then they'll have the other ones that they figure had dual success, like Spider-Man Far From Home. That landed there. They had the Men in Black. Well, they've aligned themselves with Fox. So if you're with Fox, you have a pretty much of an idea of how that's going to work out. Now that Fox is pretty much dissolved, the Venom franchise and a lot of these other things are going to transfer into Marvel Disney universe. What's up, Jeremy? No, that's Jeremiah Tatum. I'm sorry about that. Yep. So I will double back and remind people who just got here late on some of the things that has transpired before they got here. Out of the $660 billion we were supposed to get, we don't have a record for about $513 billion. After they said that they were going to expose where the money was going, we haven't seen where the money was going. They were going to show us this. So $513 billion of that money that was supposed to go to Small Business Association, everybody it's like 11 news organizations that is suing the SBA for the access to the records on the loan receipts, the amount of the loan, the basic information that these agencies are supposed to provide. So people are suing to try to get that information out, and they haven't sent it. Why wouldn't they? Because they don't want you to know where that $513 billion really went.